David Jonsson, Tom Blyth, welcome to the Paperback Podcast. How are you both?
Good. Well, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the film, two powerhouse performances. I was really compelled by this one, so congratulations first and foremost.
Thank you.
I wanted to start here. This film took place or was shot in an actual prison, and a good amount of the people on screen we see are actual sort of prisons, people who are incarcerated. And I know, David, you said that you like to be an observer and take in whatever you see that's happening around you. I suspect that you are similar, Tom. What was the most valuable thing you took from just being in that environment that you then infused into your performances to help?
Well, you know, I think it was all about truth. And I say that not to... One thing that we said from the beginning is that we didn't want to exoticize this experience. We didn't want to make this into... There's a Hollywood version of this movie. That's amazing, but that's not what I think we were trying to make. That's why we work with a wonderful charity called Switchback that help former prisoners come back into society. And like 50% of them were in the movie. So there was almost like no time to like act. You know what I mean? It was, and you know, and I say that in the truest way, it was almost like serving their experience that was truthful. And by the way, the experience affects all of us because this prison system, you know, if you pay taxes, you contribute to it. And it is, from my opinion, a broken system. So yeah, it was just about, it was just about serving in a way.
Well, as we were filming, we were seeing that spring as we were filming. It was May, June time, wasn't it? Yeah, May, June, and of last year. And we were getting notifications on BBC and ITV News, like saying the prison system was like breaking down in real time, and the government was like having to move prisoners around all over the place, and like they were short-staffed, and there were riots breaking out and stuff. And we were seeing all this news as we were making the film, and it was just this weird, like uncanny valley kind of honoured to be telling the story, but also like, God, why is this actually happening? Like, this system is broken, and you couldn't help but take that to work every day and feel like you were actually making something that was very poignant. Which, yeah, sadly, when you're making a film about something that is so real, is often the case. You often kind of feel this kind of art mimicking life kind of thing. But yeah, having switched back there, I think, just made us stay true, made us kind of feel like we had people around us to honour every day, by making it authentic and not the glamour version, you know?
Yeah, 100%. This is shot in 18 days, which is an incredible feat. Not to say that you guys aren't always focused, but when you know that you got that time frame, is there another level of intensity from scene to scene, from day to day on set for you guys?
Definitely. Yeah, we're both like, yep. I mean, yeah, like, but I think in a good way. On this particular job, it's not always easy, and it's not always the preferred way to work. I think you ask any actor, they'd always prefer to have time on your side, especially in the preparation and the weeks and months before. And when we first got the green light, it was actually the official green light to say you can film because you've got the budget was 3 weeks before we started, if that. And so the prep time was short, and at first I think the response was like stress. And then actually I think we all embraced it and jumped on board the train, and it just made the film have this, even day to day, this feeling of like a pressure cooker in a really good way, that I think then informed the quality and the tone of the film and actually made it what it is, which is this like, get on that train and it doesn't stop until the end when it all explodes, and it made it feel claustrophobic, which is the quality that you feel in the cell, and that the people we talk to from Switchback talk about all the time, this kind of claustrophobia that you feel, and this you talk about it, this feeling of like craving freedom and not being able to find it anywhere in any corner of the space that you're in.
I don't think there's Tom is absolutely right. Every actor, filmmaker probably craves a little bit more time. But in hindsight, and hindsight's obviously a great thing, I don't think that we would want to make it any differently than how we did. You know, I think it's contributed to the film that I'm pretty proud of.
I know that you lost weight for this role and you gained weight for this role. Have you guys ever done anything like that before for any of your previous projects?
All right, now you bring that up, to be fair, actually, I do wish there was more time.
Have you seen him in the long walk? He's jacked. He's absolutely jacked. That's what you get with a bit of a bigger budget.
I saw Long, I was like, this is inspiration for me.
I was like, for God's sake, man. Look at us all look bad.
Come on, guys. Come on now. No, but I did. We both had a body transformation for this, and again, it wasn't. I don't think in any way for our vanity. It was based on
definitely not for me.
It was based on real people, and I remember, my character obviously is struggling with addiction, and that the drug in particular that he was on thins you out. But also, I remember meeting a lot of these ex-prisoners, and it was almost so hard to get like a smile or a laugh out of them, because it felt like something had been taken away from them in a weird way, which is devastating. But in order to kind of portray that, for me, I felt like I needed to lose this weight, to almost make him paper thin. You know what I mean? And yeah, I did that. I started to lose weight before we were greenlit, not knowing if we'd ever get greenlit.
Wow.
so Tom, I mean, I'll let you talk for yourself, but we kind of dedicated ourselves to this, not knowing if it would happen. So thank God it did happen.
Yeah, my process changed actually as we started, because I thought I was going to have more time. I was finishing this film Plainclothes right as we got the green light, which required a certain thing that was very different, and I was playing a character that's almost more like Taylor in that film, to a certain degree. And so I thought I was going to have a lot more time and prep, and Cal and I had talked about making it, almost more of like a Bronson style transformation. And that was not the reality of the process. We just didn't have the time. And so, as is often the case, you adapt, and actually then a beautiful thing comes out of that adaptation, which is, I was like, oh, what's actually the more authentic way that Dee would look? He's not a bodybuilder. It's not even on the page that he's a bodybuilder. He's just a menace. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, the way to do this is to eat as he would eat, work out as he would work out, which a lot of the time would be like push-ups in his cell, eating greasy, salty kind of prison canteen food, high in protein, yes, but also just like greasy. And I changed the look that I wanted to have for him based on the limitations of the film, and I actually ended up loving it because I think it made it more authentic, and it made him like a little bit more greasy, a little bit more like there's like a shine to his skin, that comes out of all the food he's eating, and like he's a bit bigger than I would normally be, but in like a more kind of swollen way rather than like huge. And yeah, I feel like the limitations actually gave us like these beautiful accidents that we leaned into.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What was the residual impact of your body transformations in your actual lives? Like, was there anybody in your life coming up to you asking what was going on? Like, who was the first person to say that? And what was the residual impact of you guys choosing to do what you did?
I was walking around with tattoos for about a month around East London, just like going into Sainsbury's and Tesco's and I was catching looks. I was catching a lot of looks, and I kept being like, "Why is everyone looking at me?" And then I'd look in the mirror and I'd be like, "Oh, that's right." So, shaved head and like neck tattoos and eye tattoos and hand tattoos, and I was catching looks.
I had the same thing. In a weird way, though, I think I'd meet people like mates, I'd be like, "How you doing?" "Oh, yeah, I'm all right." And then I'd leave, and I think I'd look over my shoulder and see them like being like, "Is something wrong with David?" And I was like, "This is going well." Also, I've got special people in my life that I see day to day, and like just the day to day of like doing things like having a hug or having a little kick about. Like my knees would buckle because I was so thin. I just didn't have meat on my body. But yeah, I mean, listen, I wouldn't change it. It was what it was, and I actually quite enjoyed it in the end.
Yeah. So as you've both alluded to, this is a very raw, very real film. When it comes to fight scenes, the choreography is kind of like a dance, but in this film, it feels still very gritty, very raw, very real. How do you get that balance between choreographed fighting that makes it, that you make feel very gritty, and especially when it's so claustrophobic, you don't have much space to work in?
Yeah.
How did you guys go about doing that, and what were your conversations like with the director on that?
Well, we had a wonderful stunt team. We've got to shout our stunt team out, man, because they were brilliant. And you know, I think the fights in this quote unquote choreography was neither. It was a brawl, and they kind of helped us just find what a brawl looks like in a cell. It was one of our very few rehearsals that we had. They would set up these cardboard boxes to mimic the cell. So anytime you kind of go too far and make it a little bit of a Hollywood thing, the box will tipple over and you go, well, yeah, you overstepped the boundary there. So you kind of got to keep it contained.
And they were hard on us, weren't they? They were like, that looks Hollywood. That doesn't look real. Like, they wanted us to go at it in a way that felt raw. And I remember one point where I shove the guy up against the wall and put a tuna can lid to his face and threaten him, and they kept being like, you can throw him harder, and me as an actor just didn't want to, because I was like, you know, used to pansy actors being like, don't touch me, and I count myself in that pansy actor category, and yeah, they were hard on us, and I loved that. It was
they really did push us to kind of just find what it looked like. And then, you know, there would be moments when they do cutaway scenes that actually didn't involve us. That was a brawl happening on the wing, and you watch them be like, right, 3, 2, 1, action, and they just throw each other. And you're like, oh, that's what we're going for. It is the scrappy nature that lends itself to this actual world. It's like you'd never know when it's going to kick off, and you kind of just got to play that. So that was the best bit of it.
That guy who slammed against the wall, did you give him a couple of beers afterwards? I imagine he must have been very sore after that day.
Oh, I mean, he's way bigger than I am in real life, and way tougher. And so I had to really convince myself, okay, this is D, not me. Like, D could take him, I couldn't. So he was fine. He was absolutely fine. I think he was probably laughing at the idea that I could ever take him in a fight. Yeah.
I'm intrigued to know what happens between action and cut on scenes like that. Do you guys prefer to stay in it, or was it important for you guys to bring levity into the room in the in-between?
I think we found a happy medium with it, actually. You know, I think Tom and I are both actors. First of all, Tom is a really good mate of mine now, and we got even closer during filming this. But, you know, I think we found a medium of respecting the work, staying in the things the characters that we built and the world that was around us, which were, by the way, former prisoners, but also being like, are you doing all right, mate? Should you have a beer after? Do you know what I mean? I think we found that happy medium, which I think just continued to aid and fuel the 18 days that we had to shoot this movie and try and make it the best it possibly was. So yeah, it was somewhere in between.
I think we have a similar way of working as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we bonded over our style, which is that whatever the scene or the day calls for, your method can change that day. Because there were many days where we both stay in character all day and kind of not drop whatever it was we were doing. And then at the end of the day, we'd drop out. And then there were also days where especially the days where there could be more levity and it's just Dee and Taylor playing in the cell, we'd be able to hop in and out of character a little bit more. And I think we're both actors who are the methodology changes according to the given requirements of that day or that project or that scene. Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
David, Taylor has a son who he's trying to get closer to in the film. In real life, did you get much time with that actor before you did the scenes, or did you want to keep that distance in order to serve the character?
I actually did, yeah. I kept the distance.
Interesting.
It was really important to me too, and it was hard because I would get, I'd get sent photos of him and see things of him, but it almost felt important to me to kind of build what he could have been to me elsewhere than actually meet him. Which, by the way, we did actual FaceTime calls. I met him for the first time through FaceTime in the actual scene, and that was heartbreaking. I'm pretty sure that was we had a lot of one takes in this film, not because it was cool, because we never had time. But I remember that one take that we did is the one that actually is in the film, and it was the first and only take that we did because it was just heartbreaking for me. But yeah.
The scenes between you two are my favourite scenes. They're so
great.
They give so much pathos to the film. Yeah. So, heartbreaking.
Have you met him in person yet at all?
Oh yeah, I have. Oh yeah. I'm like,
What was
no.
that meaning like?
I'm like, no, I definitely won't meet him still. No. I definitely met him after. He's a wonderful young actor and so bright and brilliant, and he actually is charming and charismatic and all the things that you would never want to lose because of a mistake that you made. So honestly, I mean, it was one of the big takeaways that I got from this. Like, I'm acting, but this is also someone somewhere's real life.
Absolutely. God, yeah. This film does a lot with masculinity, and it's interesting, so the stories that we've gotten recently to do with that, I think about adolescence, which is incredible. You have just finished work with Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing. It's a movie that I absolutely loved, and that's very tender male masculinity. What do you think is the value of showcasing the good, the bad, the toxic, and the healthy when it comes to masculinity in our current times?
I feel like every film I make is somewhat about masculinity. I think like I forget who said it poignantly, but someone said like art is inherently political. Like being human is political, right? It's not. You don't have to make political art for it to have a political statement. I think when you put like human life really authentically on stage or on film or in music, like becomes political because we're all in conversation with each other and our lives at all times. And so, yeah, I think like I find that a lot of my projects end up being somewhat about masculinity and like whether that's toxic or suppressed or repressed, and the outcome that has on a human life. And this is very much the case with this. I mean, this more so than others, just because it's about two men locked up in a cell for mistakes they've made. And D especially is obviously dealing with his masculinity in a certain way, where he's pushing it on other people in order to not face his own vulnerability and come to terms with his trauma. And so I think, I hope people watch a film like this, and although it's not a TED Talk and it's not setting out to like lecture anyone in any way. It is entertaining and it's thrilling. I think you can't help but watch it and go like, whoa, like men need to really allow themselves to be raw and vulnerable, and when they do, like good things happen. And when they don't, bad things happen.
You also said that wonderful thing about it starting, Tom said that, it starts outside. It's almost like if there was ever a prequel or sequel to this, there won't be. But if there was, it would start before Taylor and Dee went even anywhere near the prison, because that's where it starts. I love also that you mentioned adolescence, because I also think it's a brilliant series, but Phil Barantini is also one of our exec producers. Again, injecting that thing that is so true, and we don't talk about it, but it affects all of us, is kind of, I think, our link between projects like that.
Sorry, there's a thing I keep coming back to actually, and I think Taylor exemplifies this, is that like, and it's a modern conundrum, I think, whereby we need to realize that like toughness isn't like opposite to vulnerability.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you can be tough and you can be someone who like takes things on the chin and keeps moving, and you can be strong and still be vulnerable. And I feel like that's what Taylor is at the end. Do you know what I mean? Like he's tough and he's strong and he does something very difficult and almost impossible to him because he's not that way inclined, but he does it because he knows he needs to be vulnerable for his son.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, see, we're still learning about what this is. It's almost like we need to go to the pub, mate. We need to keep talking about this movie.
We will after.
I'll join you there. Final question for you guys. You guys are still relatively young in your careers, but you've really done big, brilliant things. What advice are you taking, and who are you taking it from in terms of charting the next steps in your career?
Oh, well, Tom and I talk all the time. This was actually one of the brilliant things about working with him, because we'd spend time outside of set talking about like just where we are and what we hope for, how do we get there, even down to just like silly things like what happened with you on that set at that time. And I'm like, oh man, that feels really real. There's nothing better than being able to like chop it up with a mate and talk about this stage. I think we're kind of both at in our careers. That's the big. If I'm honest, it's just not just because he's sat here. I've actually got so much from working with him and thinking about the future, and also just like Tom.
I mean, mate, likewise. Yeah, we almost on a daily basis text and talk and talk about what we're up to, and I think it's so special to just be like on parallel paths and have kind of thanks to our agent, because we have the same agent, and she connected us, and she somehow knew that like we'd get along and be buds and wanted us to work together, and I think it's like it's special to like have a mate who is kind of doing it alongside you. And you can you don't feel so alone in it, which is nice. Definitely. And then we've also both worked with some great actors who have been lucky to just work with them, and you don't even need to get wisdom, you just like absorb, don't you?
Totally. It's osmosis, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing whatever you guys get up to next. You guys are the future, and if you're putting out more work like this, we will all be better for it. So
thank you.
Thank you so much.
David, Tom, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure,
Cheers.
man. Always.
Yeah, that was lovely.